There is a reason why you, the empath, feel like a mirror in a world filled with distorted reflections. You stand there, often unaware that your very being is like a surface of polished water, catching not only the light but also the chaos that falls upon it. This is not a coincidence, nor is it merely a trait of kindness or sensitivity. It is the very architecture of your psyche, carved by forces that predate your conscious self, sculpted by ancestral echoes and archetypal winds that still blow through your inner world. When I say you are a mirror, I am not speaking in a shallow metaphor, but in the deepest sense, you are reflecting what you cannot yet see within yourself. And if you have begun to sense that the chaos you reflect does not belong to you, then you are already standing at the threshold of an awakening. Empathy, in its truest form, is not simply an emotional response. It is an ancient inheritance, the psychic bridge that once connected tribes and families, allowing survival through mutual attunement in you. This bridge has not weakened, it has intensified, but with that intensity comes a strange danger. When you absorb the chaos of another person, when you feel the storm inside their chest as though it were your own, you are stepping into the unconscious patterns of projection. It is as if their unresolved pain, their shadows, are silently painting themselves upon your soul, and you, being so open, so unguarded, begin to believe that these colors are your own. Have you noticed how often you feel a heaviness after leaving certain people, as though they have somehow offloaded their pain onto you? You might even feel anxious, drained, or unsettled without a clear reason why. This is the moment when the mirror is clouded with someone else's storm. The psyche, especially the unconscious, communicates not in words but in symbols and vibrations. When you are with someone who carries chaos within them, their unconscious leaks into the psychic field. And because your mirror-like nature is open and receptive, you reflect their unresolved fragments. But here lies the question that demands your awareness. Are you reflecting them, or have you unknowingly become an extension of their chaos? This is why I often speak of the shadow. The shadow is not simply the dark or evil part of the psyche. It is the forgotten, the unacknowledged, the truth we hide from ourselves. When you reflect another person's chaos, you are often being invited to look at your own hidden shadows that resonate with their turbulence. If their anger unsettles you, ask yourself, is there unexpressed anger within me? If their anxiety overwhelms you, could it be that my own fear has not yet found its voice? Empaths are not merely passive receivers, they are active participants in the archetypal dance of shadow and light. Imagine a dream in which you are walking through a forest and you see faces on the trees whispering things you cannot fully hear. These faces are not just the trees, they are projections of your own inner world. Likewise, the chaos you perceive in others is not entirely theirs. It resonates with something dormant within you, something you must face. It is in this way that relationships become the laboratory of individuation, the sacred space, where the soul's mirrors show us what we have refused to see. The challenge, however, is that you, the empath, often confuse reflection with identity. You take in someone's storm, and instead of recognizing it as theirs, you claim it as your own wound. This is the root of so much suffering. It is like walking into a house filled with smoke and believing that the smoke belongs to your lungs. But this is not the truth. The smoke only reveals the fire that is burning elsewhere. The task of the conscious self is to discern what is mine and what is not, what comes from my own unconscious depths and what is merely passing through me because I am attuned to another person's hidden world. To understand this dynamic, you must explore the archetype of the mirror. In mythology, mirrors are portals. They do not simply show the surface of reality. They reveal hidden truths. Think of the story of Narcissus, who became lost in his own reflection, unable to distinguish between himself and the image in the water. This is the danger for you as an empath. If you do not develop the inner clarity to separate your essence from the reflections of others, you will drown in their chaos, believing it is your own identity. You will lose the boundary between self and other, becoming a shapeshifter of pain, wearing emotions that never belong to you. What is required is an inner alchemy. You must learn to see without absorbing, to witness without drowning. This is not cold detachment, but conscious presence. It is the ability to hold the mirror without becoming the reflection. Jungian psychology calls this process individuation, the journey of becoming who you truly are, free from the projections and unconscious bindings that keep you entangled in other people's dramas. The empath, perhaps more than anyone, is called to this path, for your mirror-like nature can be your greatest gift or your deepest curse, depending on whether you can master the art of discernment. Have you ever dreamed of standing before a mirror, but the reflection looking back at you is not your face? Such dreams reveal the fear of losing oneself, of being overtaken by what is foreign yet familiar. This is the unconscious warning. Beware of carrying what is not yours. When you wake from such a dream, you must ask yourself, what part of me is trying to speak? What shadow have I ignored that now appears as someone else's chaos? For in the depths of the unconscious, there is no clear division between self and other. The psyche is like a vast ocean where all streams eventually merge. To navigate this ocean, you must anchor yourself in the knowledge of your own soul. Let me share with you a vision. Imagine standing at the edge of a still lake at twilight. The sky is painted with fiery clouds, and the lake reflects every shade, every ripple of color. The reflection is beautiful, but it is not the sky itself. You could reach into the water, disturb its surface, and the image would shatter, yet the sky above would remain untouched. This is your power as an empath. You can feel the chaos of another person, see it ripple across your surface, but you do not have to take it into your depths. The reflection is temporary. The sky is eternal. You are not the chaos, you are the mirror that perceives it. But this realization comes only when you are willing to turn inward to face your own chaos first. The unconscious is like a hidden cave filled with archetypal symbols, forgotten memories, and the primal forces that shape your life. If you do not confront your own shadows, You will always be at the mercy of the chaos that belongs to others. You will be pulled into their storms because you have not yet recognized the storm within. The mirror will remain clouded, and you will confuse reflection with identity. The question you must ask yourself is this: who am I when the mirrors are gone? When I stand alone, without reflecting anyone else's emotions, what is my essence? This is the work of individuation. It is the path of descending into the depths of the self, of meeting the archetypal figures that dwell in your unconscious, and of bringing them into the light of awareness. Only then can you stand as a true mirror, reflecting others without losing yourself in their chaos. To continue this exploration, let us dive deeper into the mystical dimension of empathy. For the empath is not merely a sensitive person, but a vessel of collective consciousness. Within you lives an ancient memory, a remembrance of the time before individuality was fully formed, when the tribe was the soul, and the soul was the tribe. This memory is why you so easily dissolve into the feelings of others. It is not weakness, but the echo of a time when survival meant merging, sensing, anticipating the needs of those around you. Yet the modern soul is called to a different task: to individuate, to become whole, to forge a self that is not lost in the tides of other people's inner worlds. When you mirror another's chaos, something profound occurs. You are not simply observing, you are participating in their unconscious story. Think of a dream in which you are walking down a corridor filled with doors. Behind each door lies a fragment of someone's life, a fear, a trauma, a secret they have buried. As an empath, you walk this corridor with uncanny ease, opening doors without realizing that what you see inside is not your own. You step into the room of their sorrow and feel as though the pain is yours. You sit at the table of their anger and taste its bitterness on your tongue. The boundaries of self and other blur like smoke. This merging is both a gift and a danger. If you remain unaware, you become like a mirror that is forever smudged by fingerprints, unable to reflect the truth clearly. But if you awaken, if you learn to see these reflections as messages rather than possessions, you become a healer of extraordinary depth. For what is a healer if not someone who can enter the labyrinth of another's suffering without becoming lost to do this? You must descend into your own labyrinths first. You must confront your own shadow. The shadow is not a demon to be destroyed, but a teacher to be embraced. Within the shadow lies all that you have rejected about yourself: your rage, your envy, your shame, your primal instincts. These are not evil. They are simply unacknowledged. When you deny them, they grow strong in the dark, and you see them mirrored in others. This is why the chaos you reflect might not belong entirely to the other person. It might be resonating with a piece of your own shadow. If you feel overwhelmed by someone's anger, ask yourself, where does my own anger sleep, unspoken and unexpressed? If you are disturbed by the sadness, whisper to yourself, what part of me still grieves for something I never allowed myself to mourn? This is the secret of projection. We project onto others what we cannot bear to see in ourselves. But as an empath, you have a unique challenge. You not only project, but also absorb. You are like a sponge in a world of emotional floods. Without awareness, you take in these projections from all directions, believing that every storm you feel belongs to you. This is why discernment becomes your spiritual armor. You must cultivate the inner voice that asks, is this mine or is it theirs? Is this feeling a reflection or is it my own true emotion? Imagine for a moment that you are standing in a crowded room filled with mirrors. Each mirror reflects a different face, a different story, a different wound. If you rush from mirror to mirror, you will lose sight of your own image. But if you stand still, if you gaze into one mirror long enough with conscious awareness, you will see not just the reflection but the space beyond it. You will see through the projection to the soul that lies behind it. This is the power of the awakened empath, to see beyond the surface chaos into the archetypal patterns that shape human suffering. I recall a dream told to me by someone who carried this mirror-like nature. In the dream, she was walking through a hall of glass, and with every step, the mirrors began to crack. At first, she panicked, thinking that the cracking meant she was breaking. But as she walked further, she realized that the cracks revealed light behind the mirrors, a light that was not hers nor anyone else's, but belonged to something far greater. This is what happens when you stop identifying with every reflection you encounter. The cracks in the mirror reveal the truth that you are not the reflection, you are the one who sees. To deepen this understanding, we must talk about the archetype of the healer. For many empaths carry this archetype unconsciously. The healer archetype is both a blessing and a burden. It compels you to enter the pain of others, to hold space for their wounds, to offer your presence as a balm. But if you have not healed your own wounds, the healer archetype can become a trap. You will try to fix others to avoid facing your own pain. You will carry their chaos as a way of distracting yourself from your own inner work. In Jungian terms, this is a form of shadow possession, where the healer archetype becomes inflated, consuming the self with the illusion that saving others will save you. But the true healer does not save. The true healer mirrors without absorbing. The true healer understands that each soul must face its own shadow, that transformation comes from within. To embody this wisdom, you must first heal the wound of over-identification. You must recognize that empathy does not mean losing yourself. It means feeling fully while remaining anchored in the depths of your own being. The unconscious communicates through symbols, and one of the most potent symbols for the empath is water. You might notice that you dream often of water lakes, rivers, oceans. Water is the element of emotion, the language of the soul. When the water is still, you can see your reflection clearly, but when the water is stirred by storms, the reflection becomes distorted. This is exactly what happens when you are surrounded by chaotic energy. The water of your psyche becomes turbulent, and you can no longer see what belongs to you and what belongs to others. To restore stillness, you must create rituals of clarity. This could be as simple as spending time alone in silence, journaling your feelings until the surface of your mind clears, or engaging in creative expression that allows the chaos to flow out of you rather than remain trapped within. Jung himself often spoke of the healing power of active imagination, the practice of entering into dialogue with the figures of your unconscious, allowing them to speak and reveal their messages. For the empath, This practice is essential when you feel overwhelmed by someone's chaos. Close your eyes and ask, what image does this feeling have? What symbol does it carry? Perhaps you will see a storm, a broken mirror, or a caged animal. These images are keys, unlocking the hidden meaning of the emotion. Consider also the archetype of the wounded child. Many empaths are unconsciously bound to this archetype, for it is often in childhood that we first learn to mirror the emotions of others as a survival mechanism. If you grew up in a household where the emotional atmosphere was unpredictable, where anger, sadness, or fear filled the air, like smoke, you learn to read those emotions, to mirror them, to adjust yourself, to maintain harmony. This childhood gift becomes an adult burden if left unconscious. You continue to mirror the chaos of others, believing that your worth lies in absorbing their pain, but the wounded child within you does not need to mirror anymore. It needs to be seen, held, and healed. This healing begins with self-compassion. Look into the mirror of your own soul and say, I see you, I feel you, I am no longer abandoning you for the sake of others. This act of recognition is revolutionary. It is the first step toward reclaiming your energy, your identity, your essence. As you do this, the reflections of others will no longer stick to you like shadows. You will see their chaos, but you will not drown in it. The mirror you hold as an empath is not passive glass. It is alive with the forces of psyche and spirit. When you reflect someone else's chaos, you are standing in a sacred tension, a meeting point between their unconscious and your own. The danger arises when this reflection becomes an unconscious fusion, when you begin to carry their pain as though it were your own unspoken truth. But once you awaken to this process, once you see the archetypal play unfolding before your eyes, a profound clarity begins to rise within you. You realize that you are not merely absorbing chaos, you are being invited to transform it, not for them, but for your own journey toward wholeness. In Jungian thought, every encounter with another person is an encounter with the self. The deep archetype of totality within you, the self will often send messengers in the form of relationships, emotions, and even conflicts when someone's chaos enters your life. It is not an accident. The psyche does not operate in random accidents. It moves with symbolic precision. If you find yourself mirroring another's anger, for example, it may be because your own suppressed anger is demanding recognition. If their confusion unsettles you, perhaps your own inner compass has been neglected. Each reflection you hold is in some way an encoded message from your unconscious urging you to turn inward. Imagine for a moment a dream in which you are walking through a great hall of mirrors, but each mirror shows not just your reflection, but scenes from your past moments of pain, joy, betrayal, and transformation. As you walk, you begin to realize that these reflections are not separate from you. They are fragments of your own soul, calling you home. This is what happens in the waking world when you are surrounded by chaos. The chaos is a mirror of something unintegrated within you, something waiting for your acknowledgement. There is a concept in alchemy that mirrors this process, the idea of the vase, the vessel in which transformation occurs. The empath, by nature, often becomes this vessel for others, unconsciously carrying their chaos as if to transmute it. But this is a dangerous alchemy if done without awareness, because the fire of transformation can burn you rather than enlighten you. The true work is to become the vase for your own inner alchemy, to turn inward and face the primal materials of your own psyche, your fears, your shadowed instincts, your unhealed wounds, and allow them to transform into gold. This is the path of individuation. When I speak of individuation, I am speaking of a journey that is both mystical and profoundly practical. It is the process of becoming who you truly are, beyond the roles and reflections imposed upon you by society, family, and the unconscious chaos of others. For the empath, individuation is not just a path, but a necessity. Without it, you will forever be lost in the mirrors of other people's storms, unable to find the clear reflection of your own essence. Consider how often you feel emotions that have no clear origin. Perhaps you wake one morning feeling heavy, anxious, or inexplicably sad. You search for a reason within yourself, but the emotion is like smoke without fire. This is often the sign that you are carrying something that is not yours. You have reflected someone else's chaos so deeply that it has taken root within you. But here is the key. You can return it, you can let it go. This is not an act of rejection or coldness, but of respect for yourself and for the other person. Their chaos belongs to them, just as your healing belongs to you. The act of returning what is not yours can be symbolic and powerful. Some empaths find it helpful to visualize placing the emotion in their hands, offering it back to the universe, or imagining it dissolving in light. Others find that writing down the feelings that do not belong to them and burning the paper is a way of releasing the reflection. These rituals are not merely psychological tricks. They are dialogues with the unconscious. The psyche understands symbols far more deeply than words. And by enacting these symbolic releases, you are speaking to the deepest layers of your being. In one of my own visions, I saw the empath as a pool of moonlit water. The moon above cast its reflection perfectly, but when clouds of chaos passed, the water rippled, distorting the image. The empath believed that the ripples were a flaw, a sign of weakness, but the truth was that the water was simply responding to the forces around it. The strength lay not in stopping the ripples, but in knowing that beneath them, the water was still deep, still clear. You, too, must remember your depth. You are not just a surface reflection. You are the depths of the pool, vast and unmoved by passing storms. To navigate this, you must also become intimate with the archetypes that live within you. Jung described archetypes as universal patterns of the psyche figures like the mother, the warrior, the sage, the trickster. Each of these archetypes has a light side and a shadow. The empath often carries the archetype of the caregiver, but when this archetype is unconscious, it becomes distorted into martyrdom, self-sacrifice, and boundarylessness. You give and give until you are empty. believing that this is love. But in truth, it is often a fear of being unworthy unless you are useful. The shadow of the caregiver is the belief that your existence must be justified by tending to others' chaos. The path forward is to balance this archetype with others. The warrior, for example, teaches you boundaries and courage. The sage teaches discernment, the ability to see beyond the immediate reflection to the deeper truth. By integrating these archetypes, you become a more complete mirror, not one that is clouded by every emotion, but one that reflects truth without distortion. When someone's chaos comes toward you, the warrior stands at the gate of your soul and says, "This is not yours to carry." The sage whispers, "Observe, but do not absorb." And the caregiver, in its highest form, says, "I can hold space for your storm without losing my own light." I often speak of dreams because dreams are the pure language of the unconscious. If you are an empath, pay attention to your dreams, for they will reveal the boundaries you need and the shadows. You are unconsciously reflecting. You may dream of being chased, which often symbolizes a part of yourself you are avoiding. You may dream of drowning, which reflects emotional overwhelm, or you may dream of standing in front of a broken mirror, which is a powerful sign that you are losing clarity about your own identity. These dreams are not to be feared, but to be listened to. They are messages from the soul urging you to wake up to your true self. Let me tell you this, you are not weak because you feel deeply. You are not broken because you reflect the chaos of the world. You are simply being called to a higher form of consciousness. Sensitivity is not a wound, it is a tool. But like any powerful tool, it must be wielded with wisdom. If you allow every reflection to define you, you will be lost. But if you learn to stand as the mirror and the observer, you will find that empathy becomes your greatest source of insight and strength. There comes a moment in every empath's life when the mirror must be reclaimed. You cannot forever live as a surface upon which the world projects its chaos, for this is not wholeness, it is entanglement. Wholeness arises when you see the reflection, yet know yourself as the seer. This shift is subtle, but transformative. It is a realization that you are not the mirror itself. You are the consciousness that holds the mirror. The awareness that can choose to turn it toward the light or set it down entirely. When this awareness awakens, you begin to live from a deeper place, one where empathy does not drain you, but illuminates the unseen truths of others and yourself. The path of individuation is often described as a descent into the unconscious. For the empath, this descent is both necessary and terrifying, because it requires stepping away from the external world of constant reflection and into the inner world where the shadows dwell. Here, you must face the parts of yourself that you have long mirrored in others, the anger you call theirs. The grief, you say, belongs to someone else. The fear you've always absorbed but never claimed. These are your own echoes, waiting to be seen. The mirror of empathy will always distort if the self behind it remains unexamined. Think of the archetype of the hero who must enter the underworld to retrieve a treasure. This treasure is often a symbol of wholeness, something lost, broken, or forgotten. For you, The empath, the treasure is your own identity, untainted by the chaos of others. It is the clear, unbroken mirror that reflects not because it absorbs, but because it simply is. To reach this treasure, you must journey inward, confronting the shadows that rise like ghosts in the corridors of your psyche. It is here, in this crucible of the soul, that the greatest alchemy takes place. The alchemical process of transformation is not easy. It is like standing in fire, watching everything false, burn away. But you must remember that what burns is not your essence, it is the illusions, the false identities, the burdens you have carried for too long. As the fire of consciousness consumes these illusions, what remains is pure gold, the self, the indivisible center of your being. Once you have touched this gold, you will never again mistake someone else's chaos for your own. You will see their storms, but you will not drown in them. You will stand like the mountain with roots deep in the earth, reflecting the sky without being moved by the passing clouds. The dream of wholeness is not a dream of isolation. It does not mean cutting off your empathy or building walls around your heart. It means loving with clarity, giving with awareness, and seeing with eyes that are not clouded by projection. When you meet someone who carries chaos, you can feel it fully, but you can also recognize it for what it is: a reflection, an invitation, not a command. You no longer become lost in their storm because you have navigated your own. Imagine a night sky filled with stars, each one shining its own light. The stars do not compete, nor do they absorb each other's light. They simply exist, illuminating the darkness together. You, as an empath, are like one of these stars. Your light does not diminish by seeing another's shadow, and their chaos does not extinguish your flame. But if you forget your own light, if you believe that you must carry their darkness to prove your worth, you will find yourself lost in an endless night. The task, therefore, is to remember you are light. You are the star, not the shadow it reveals. The unconscious often tests us with relationships that challenge our boundaries. You may find yourself repeatedly drawn to those who are chaotic, broken, or lost, because on some level, their chaos resonates with your unhealed parts. This is not punishment, but initiation. Each of these encounters is an opportunity to see what still lies unintegrated within you. If you keep attracting people who drain you, ask yourself, where in my own life have I abandoned my boundaries? Where do I still believe I must be everything for everyone? The answers may not come immediately, but they will rise like ancient symbols from the depths of your psyche, showing you the path to your own healing. I have often said that the soul speaks in symbols. And so I will leave you with one more image. Picture a mirror in the center of a great temple. Around it stand figures cloaked in shadow. These are the archetypes of your unconscious, waiting for your recognition. One by one, they step forward, revealing faces you have seen in others but never acknowledged in yourself. The angry one, the grieving one, the child who longs for love, the warrior who has been sleeping. As each figure steps into the mirror, you see them not as enemies, but as parts of your own soul, forgotten but not gone. You open your arms and the mirror dissolves replaced by a light that fills the temple. This light is yourself whole, indivisible, and radiant from this place. Empathy becomes a gift of clarity. You no longer confuse reflection with reality. You see the chaos of others as part of the great dance of human psyche, and you can stand in their presence without losing your center. You become both the mirror and the observer, both the healer and the healed. You begin to live from a place where love is not sacrifice but illumination, where feeling deeply does not mean drowning, but truly seeing the soul of another. Do not fear your sensitivity. It is not a weakness, but a bridge to the depths of existence. Yet remember, even bridges must rest on solid ground. Your solid ground is your awareness, your self, your conscious connection to the archetypal truths that live beyond the chaos of everyday life. When you are anchored in this awareness, no reflection can trap you. No storm can define you. You will walk through the world like a mirror of light, reflecting truth rather than chaos. And those who meet you will feel, perhaps for the first time, that they are truly seen. So I leave you with this final truth. Empaths are mirrors, yes, but you are not merely reflecting someone else's chaos. You are reflecting the eternal dance of shadow and light, both within and without. And when you choose to see with conscious eyes, you become more than a mirror. You become a witness, a guide, a luminous presence in a world that desperately needs such clarity. This is your gift. And it is also your responsibility. For when you know who you are, when you stand in the fullness of your own self, you will not only see the chaos of others, you will see the hidden beauty beneath it. And that vision, more than anything, is what heals the world.